We all float down here.
All right. This has been one of the most stress-filled weeks of my life, so let's turn myself into one of my greatest fears. Obvious thing that we need to start with is a white base. I'm using water-based body paint because since it's going to be all over me, I know I'm wearing this t-shirt now. This is the part that I'm going to show me painting on camera, and I'll paint the rest of my body white when I put on my dress. I won't do that on camera because that's going to be boring. But yeah, no matter which Pennywise you look at, whether it's Tim Curry's or Bill Skarsgård's, they both are very white. So we are going to become very white. So considering I'm going to be doing this for a second, I did want to say I have, with the exception of the 7 Deadly Sins, which I bring up all the time, this is a video that I spent an insane amount of time planning. I was going to do this last year, and then stuff happened. I didn't. So now I realized with the new movie coming out, it was the perfect time to make it happen. It was, oh my word, I don't even know how long ago it was when I watched the first 15 minutes of the original It, which unfortunately not enough people have seen. Tim Curry's It is incredible, and something I will give Bill Skarsgård's It is the fact that they didn't really seem to try to copy Tim Curry's It. There are a lot of things about the way Tim Curry was done that was very unique to that It, to that Pennywise. If you look up pictures of Tim Curry's It, you'll see his makeup is very minimal. It's very traditionally clown, as opposed to Bill Skarsgård's It, that is very heavily done with makeup, which is the majority of what we're basing this off of today. But I am going to try to incorporate elements of, wow, this looks weird. I am going to try to incorporate elements of Tim Curry's It in here. But if you look at pictures of Tim Curry's, it's very simple. But he is, in the movie, well, it was actually, is it a short thing? Whatever, I'm going to call it a movie. He's incredibly expressive with his face. When he talks, he's not just moving his mouth, he's expressing himself with just his mouth. It's really impressive. So they kept his makeup really simple. But Bill Skarsgård's is kind of emotionless unless he's like in attack mode. So his makeup is more elaborate, more monster-like. You'll say clown makeup is normally cream paints because it is a lot thicker, so it's easier to get a completely opaque coat of something like white paint with cream than it is to do with water-based paints like this. But water-based paints are way more comfortable. Cream paints, well, they're just not. Okay. Tim Curry's It had very thick, well, not terribly thick, but black eyebrows. Pennywise has incredibly thin, more like grooves in his skin. It honestly doesn't even look like it's painted on there. It looks like it's an indent. I don't know if they did that with prosthetics or, no, they had to. This is part of our nod to the master himself. I think there are elements of Tim Curry's It that are simply more scary than Bill Skarsgård's. I don't really have a problem with his performance or skills as an actor. I think he's incredible. Actually, across the board, that family is incredibly talented. So I'm going to pretty much fill in my eyebrows as is, I'm going to start in the bottom. I can cancel out a lot of my brows, so I'm kind of following the shape of my eyebrows. I'm using black body paint now, by the way. I'm not copying his eyebrows completely because I do not want to cancel out my brows, and that would require, you know, a glue stick and powder and stuff. And I'm trying to make this a slightly more feminine it, hence the dress. But I am going to make my brows thinner. Like that. My brows are actually a lot thicker than this. But I like the way this looks. I'm gonna let this dry, then I'm gonna go over again because it is mixing a little bit with the white paint. So it's coming out a little bit more gray. And I do want them to be very black. I know a lot of people did Pennywise when the first one came out, and there was a lot of glam versions, some gory versions, some just like direct recreations. So I don't but I didn't see anyone try to incorporate the original Pennywise, which I think is just a complete shame. I think a lot of credit is due to Tim Curry's performance and the success of that movie, because, not to insult the other actors, but I didn't believe their performances that much. They weren't awful, but there were definitely elements that felt just very weird to me, and not in the way that it was a weird movie and it was supposed to feel odd, but more I just didn't believe them. They felt forced. The new movie, I think the acting across the board is pretty even. They're all incredible. Those kids are bonkers talented. But Tim Curry's performance is perfect. I have zero critiques as to the way he played Pennywise. Okay, I'm gonna use an actual paintbrush. That is, I'm not sure if it was supposed to be this fine or I cut it. I honestly don't remember. But I'm gonna be using this and a black eyeshadow. Excuse me. I'm using Spooky from the James Charles palette. This is brand new. I've only swatched a few colors. This is a birthday present, and I am so happy. So I'm going to be using that black and using a more close-up mirror instead of my distance one to draw some cracks, because the new Pennywise has like cracks in his skin. Now's the fun part. Now it's drawing creepy lines on her face. So I'm going to use an angled brush and eyeshadow first. I'm going to take You're Kidding and a angled brush, and I'm going to just stamp the color down like this. You can barely see that. Oh my god. I'm just giving myself a very light outline because I'm going to go over this with body paint, and I want to have a very clean line to follow. I'm going to skip over the eye and go right up the forehead. it's time to paint. This is the part that is stressing me out. I need caffeine, which is actually the opposite of what I need. I would need like something that's going to steady my hand, but instead I want to caffeinate. Okay, now that I'm done stalling, I'm going to start at the top because these lines will be the easiest. Time to move on to the eyes, and I'm going to completely cover them to where they're completely blocked out. And I'm going up to my new brow because there is parts of it that my own brow that are not covered. And because this product can crease rather fast, I'm going to go ahead and go over it with the white eyeshadow from James Charles palette. There's a little bit of blue in Tim Curry's It that I want to incorporate. He has a little bit of blue on top and then a line of blue down. But, wow, this feels really weird now. There's a lot of lip gloss I put on. I'm gonna put a little bit of blue on the lid and make a similar pattern to the way he had it, but not totally. His was definitely drawn on, there's no blending to it. And I want to make this look a little bit more smudged. Overall, the look is gonna look a little bit more smudged. Now I'm going to take that red, and I'm going to go over all of the lining and smudge it out a bit. The hard part with doing this is it is going to try to come out a little bit more pink. First, just going to be patient and go over everything a bunch of times. I'm going to take a fluffy brush and run it over to make sure it's nice and smudged. We really are going for a much messier it with this than the very put together its that are in the movie. It, Pennywise, either way. Same person. sufficiently insane now. I do want to darken this up a little bit. It is very bright, which is fine, but I want some black in there. That's not just our eyebrows. So I'm going to take a very fine brush and go under the lash line to just add a bit more depth to all this. Oh, this could be such a mistake. I'm going to do it anyways. I'm going to take that lip gloss. That has blue on it. Hold on. I'm going to take the lip gloss and I'm going to create a line down the center. Because, you know, I have a sticky hand. Okay, I really like that. This does mean that this is going to be really hard to wear. Like, frankly, if you have cream paints, do this with cream paints. At least this part, you won't be able to feel it. This, if you do this and wear it out, you're going to get gloss everywhere. You should definitely do this with cream paints. But since I don't use cream paints, I don't own cream paints. And I like to improvise, so we're using lip gloss. Something I wanted to say before I close this out, I think I'm done now. Let me just double check my reference picture to see if I was missing anything, because I think I've mentioned before, I don't have a plan when I start these. If you guys want to see the behind the scenes part of all of this, the making of the dress and a lot of my thought processes and frustrations of trying to create this, because this really was something I cared so much about, wanting to make this, wanting to become something I've been afraid of for a really long time. I did do a behind the scenes, and that's on my Patreon page. So if you guys want to support me there, you want to see behind the scenes stuff, link is in the description. And for now, let's see how this thing looks all together.
You flow to